Very good morning, class 11th. So, we are on our last topic of our chapter, that is chapter number 7, structural organization in animals. I'm going to talk about today the last connective tissue, because muscular tissue we already discussed in complete detail in our locomotion and movement chapter. Even the blood and lymph, we also talked about these in the chapter, that is the body fluids and circulation. So I will provide link in the description so that you can go through those videos and you can study about the blood and lymph. So let's quickly revise about the blood. As you know that the blood and lymph, both they are known as the vascular tissue, right? And the blood is a red color liquid connective tissue which has two main components. One is plasma, and the one is the corpuscles, which you call as the cells also. So basically blood, everyone should be very crystal clear that blood is having two main components. One is the plasma and one is the corpuscles. 45% it has the cells and 55% it is having the 50 plasma. Basically 55% of the blood, total blood is having the plasma, and 45% we are having the cells. Even in the plasma you will find maximum content, that is of water. Only very few percentages of the inorganic salts, organic substances, and 6 to 8% proteins. And these proteins, they are specifically known as the plasma proteins, right? The majority still you find is the water, then inorganic salts and organic substances and proteins. When we say proteins, these are the plasma proteins, and in organic substances the major part is the glucose, and the other one is the lactic acid as the second medium which is found as the organic substance. Inorganic substance, mostly it has ions, and then few it has urea also, few percentage. Proteins, very specific proteins which are present in plasma, that is the albumin, globulins, and clotting proteins. We talked about this in body fluids and circulation, that serum albumin, it help in osmoregulation process. Serum globulins, they are known as immunoglobulins. They play role as the antibodies. They provide immunity in our body. They act as the immunoglobulins. They are the immunoglobulins. Basically, they are the antibodies. And in the clotting proteins, we are having two main clotting proteins, that is the fibrinogen and prothrombin, which help in the clotting, blood clotting. When we say corpuscles, which kind of corpuscles it has? RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. In humans, we know that RBCs, they are enucleated. Actually, in the initially they are having nucleus and other organelles, but once they are matured, RBC, they get matured, their organelles, they withdraw their organelles, right? They just release their organelles, as well as nucleus is also removed. So on maturation they are enucleated. That is a very important question, objective question, that RBCs, they are enucleated. If we look at the size of this RBC cell, that is the 7.5 microns, and how many that is the present RBC are present, that is 4.5 to 5.5 million per cc, that is called per cubic centimeter, that is present. RBCs are present in our body. Lifespan, that is the 120 days. Completely they are packed with the hemoglobin, and their function is also, that is why, because it is completely packed with the respiratory pigment, so they help in the transportation of the respiratory gases. These are the major I'm just quickly revising this RBCs, WBCs, and platelets, but if you want to go through the complete discussion, then please go through the body fluids and circulation chapter. In that chapter, we have discussed in complete detail about all the cells, RBCs, WBCs with their structure. So WBCs, they are of two types. Mainly they are of two types actually, granulocyte and agranulocytes. Granular means they have cytoplasm is granular. Agranulocytes means cytoplasm is agranular. Then is these granulocytes, they are further of three types: eosinophils, which you known by the name also acidophils, right? And then there are basophils, and finally neutrophils. Eosinophils or acidophils, they are bilobed nucleus. Basophils have trilobed, and neutrophils, they are having multilobed nucleus. uh, those cells, those WBCs which cytoplasm is agranular, not having any granules, they are of two types: monocytes and lymphocytes. About platelets, they are the major cells which help in blood clotting. They release platelet factor, which is actually known as the initiator factor for the blood clotting, right? So this is the last part, and after this there is the muscular tissue, which is having three further types, that is the striated, non-striated, and cardiac cells. And for this, for the explanation of these three muscles, you can go through the videos from the locomotion and movement chapter, and the link for these is mentioned in the description box, right? You can go through these videos, them, and with their structures. We already discussed it in complete detail, right? So that is why I'm not going to take this part in here is, but let's discuss few questions which can be asked in your subjective examination. Like if you are asked that give the site, name the site of production of blood cells in our body, then what will you answer? Now do you know that where the blood cells in our body they are formed? That is your red bone marrow, where erythropoiesis happen. So that is the this is the place where blood cells they are formed. Then another question sometimes is asked in the examination, that what provide hardness? Yesterday we talked about the bone, and we talked about this point also. What provide hardness and non pliability? You know that pliability means soft, elastic, which can be easily bent. But to the matrix of bones, which is very very hard, who provide this hardness and non pliability to the bone matrix? You know the answer. You know the presence of which salts? Which kind of salts? I think before I write the answer, you should answer it in your mind. The presence of calcium salts. And we know that calcium carbonate and calcium phosphate, these two salts, calcium salts, they majorly provide the hardness, as well as then the collagen fibers. Few collagen fibers, these together they are responsible for hardness, right, and non pliability to the matrix of bone. What are the cellular components of blood? Red blood cells, WBCs, and platelets. That is, you can mention in the answers. If sometime the question comes in the other way, there is a irregular, where is the irregular connective tissue present in our body? Always mention that is the under the in the skin. So this is about our chapter that is called structural organization in the animals. For your house examination or subjective examination, cockroach and earthworm is not there this time in your syllabus. Has been deleted, so that is much you have to read. But yes, for NEET you have to read all the things which are given in our NCERT, right? So next we will start with our next chapter, that we will meet on Monday with the chapter that is called Plant Kingdom.